All right, Gundam fans, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. For this episode, we are actually taking a look at the last episode of 080 War on Pocket, and that's episode 6. Before we get started, if you haven't, please like and subscribe. There's a giveaway going on, link in the description. Always a giveaway going on. And just a little recap from last time. Cyclops team from the Zeon, Principality of Zeon, kind of snuck into Side 6, and they tried to destroy the Gundam Alex. And they failed. The camphor was destroyed, and Bernie was really the only member of Cyclops' team to survive. And so Bernie decided to give up because of what was going on. Zeon was just going to send a nuke to destroy the colony. So Bernie's like, might as well get out of here. But he tells Al, this little kid. And then Al has kind of this existential crisis of what he should be doing. And at his age, that's a lot to kind of take in. But by the end of the last episode, Bernie decides he wants to stay, he wants to fight, and just to do the right thing, regardless of the outcome. So let's get started. Seems kind of crazy, but we have Bernie and Al, a kid and adult working together to restore the Zaku 2 that was destroyed and just left in the forest. And by the way, the name of this episode is War in the Pocket, just like the series. So in an effort to rebuild the Zaku 2, Bernie talks about salvaging parts of GMs around the colony and, for Al to kind of go out there and find some other parts to get this thing built back up. And as they went to go enter that warehouse area they were before where the cargo trucks had the shipping trucks had the parts of the Zeon MSs in there. One actually gets towed away because it's just been sitting in the lot because the rest of the Cyclops team have perished. And so at this point, they're like, okay, we need to rush in and grab the other one before they do. And what happens is there's already some Federation soldiers at the cargo truck. So, Bernie and Al are thinking, okay, well, we'll have to come up with another plan. Al starts beating up a Federation Jeep, and then the soldiers run over to say, hey, kid, what are you doing? And he kind of puts on an act, like he has before, kind of crying and complaining that he lost his dad due to the battles going on. And that was enough time for Bernie to sneak out with the truck. And so Bernie and Al are sitting in the car trying to plan their next steps because, Bernie brings up that there's not enough weapons, that we have to come up with something else. And so what they do is there's this Christmas parade going on, again, because this is a Christmas movie or series or show, and they decide to use some equipment from that, like the balloons, for instance, in order to be used as diversions for the attack against the Gundam. And this is where we watch Al watch Bernie take out a guard so they can sneak in and steal stuff. Now, that seems kind of dark, but really, according to them, a nuke is going to destroy the entire colony. So it's almost like they have no choice but to go to these extremes. I mean, really, that guard might have not been killed and just knocked out. But really, when you weigh the options of sneaking in to steal some items or let a nuke destroy the whole colony, I think it's pretty much an obvious choice. Al's laying in bed, and he has this look on his face as if he's not too happy. And what's going on through his mind is we hear Bernie's plan to Al of what to do, and I really think Al is kind of feeling, this might not work. And it seems like he's almost thinking, what if Bernie doesn't survive this? What if we don't stop the Alex and the colony gets nuked? All right, further cementing this as a Christmas classic, we hear the main theme song of War in the Pocket while they are showing the city in the streets during Christmas time. We see the Santa balloon inflated. Kind of weird, funny. We're seeing like this montage of them laying the traps, getting everything set up while it's playing the War in the Pocket theme, which is kind of a happy theme. It's just kind of weird and unsettling because really what they're doing is trying to plan an attack to destroy a Gundam, potentially killing a pilot, to stop a nuke from destroying the colony. So it's just very interesting how your heartstrings are really pulled emotionally from all different angles with this series. It's quite impressive. Bernie might not be the best pilot and doesn't really have the record for it, but he definitely knows how to repair and build up a Zaku. I mean, if you think about it, when it comes to tier lists in pilots, while, yeah, he may not have the record of how many mobile suits he's destroyed in his space combat, he's crafty, and he knows how to put a plan together. So, and look at that, them just laughing together right before their battle that determines whether they get nuked to death or not. Pretty cool, nice shot here. That's sweet, isn't it? Jingle bells, more Christmas stuff. And right now they're setting up some story real quick where, Bernie's like, hey, Al, don't look so sad. And, your dad's coming home tomorrow. But, Al's like, oh, I want to be able to help you fight. Because, Al will be, meeting his dad at the spaceport with his mom because, his dad's moving back in under all this pressure of wanting to help Bernie win so a nuke doesn't then destroy the colony. So, it's kind of crazy. But something else interesting happens. Bernie hands Al a tape and says, Al, don't open this or read this until afterwards and if something happens to me. So what is it exactly? Another moment here where Al is, pleading to Bernie, you won't die, right? And Bernie's like, of course I won't. And then Bernie having that look on his face and then looking at the house that Chris lives in and seeing the family there at Christmas. Music is well done, by the way. Even if in some areas it seems to disassociate with itself with the overall situation at hand, it's very impactful music.
God, please give me this one.
Praying to God, wanting Santa to make sure Bernie is safe during the attack tomorrow. Yeah, great shot. There's no words needed. Bernie's looking up at the sky, zips up his jacket, gets ready to jump into the Zaku. So at the spaceport, Al and his mom are there. His dad shows up. So this is where, as someone that's watching this for the first time, what's going to happen? His dad is showing up. Al knows that there could be a nuke headed for the colony to destroy it if the Gundam isn't destroyed in time, which is what Bernie is trying to do. So very interesting right here where I like the world building that's also going on too, but it also propels the plot forward. Al's dad is talking about, that there was a battle outside the colony when his shuttle was going to land, and it was like terrifying. And I like that idea of if you're in an airplane, space shuttle, and the fact that there could be battles going on around you. That's kind of scary. And I guess what happened was they were able to confiscate a Zeon ship that had a nuclear missile on it. Meaning that Bernie doesn't have to go out and fight the Alex now because the nuke has been diverted. Just the music and the look on Al's face is probably the same look anyone that's watching this for the first time would have. And so as this scary, unsettling music is playing, you hear Al's parents go, Al, where are you going? And you see Al run out of one of the docking areas because they're on these really cool looking lifts, elevator lifts that I guess come from the spaceport to take people to their homes. So Al just left on one to, I guess, head to where Bernie would be.
He doesn't have to fight now. I gotta stop him.
I'm telling you, the mix of the music, the imagery. Ooh. So they detect the Zaku coming, and the Earth Federation sends out Chris McKenzie in the Alex. And I guess there's some local forces that are keeping out of this one, so it really depends on the Gundam. The Alex has already showed up to just start attacking. So the Zaku hasn't attacked yet, but the Earth Federation is just attacking first. But it's on purpose that Bernie is heading to a non-civilian area out in the woods to bring the Alex along with them to maybe, stop any casualties from occurring. So we can see part of the trap has already been initiated where we see kind of this smoke that has been released. And we can see a little string that's tied to those little canisters Al and Bernie set up. It's crazy. It's crazy that Al shows up and he's within all of this. He's amongst the traps, amongst the fighting of two giant mobile suits. Bernie initiates one of the traps, now not knowing that Al is there, and it's a giant inflatable Santa. Again, making this a Christmas classic. All right, and we're starting to get deep into the battle, and it's pretty graphic, I guess, for mobile suits, where the Heat Hawk, tore off part of the arm of the Alex, and just the way they're battling, it seems to be more realistic than just shooty explode. Al screaming for Bernie. Bernie looking all hurt. So is Chris McKenzie. Al is outside screaming, you don't have to fight anymore. But obviously they can't hear that. And this is it. This is that shot. And if there's anything we learned about Gundam starting from the original, is that when you destroy a mobile suit, it has a large explosion. And Al gets impacted by that. And Al's just sitting in shock. He just saw Bernie and Al fight each other. Explosion. As far as he knows, Bernie's dead. And the look on his face when he finds out that Chris McKenzie is the pilot of the Alex, his neighbor, the one that Bernie fell in love with and was possibly in love with Bernie herself. We zoom in on the package and the tape that Bernie left for Al. And what it is the tape and the package is evidence that Bernie, in case that he is to not make it, be able to provide to the authorities to show why this colony was targeted for a nuclear attack. And the thing is, just like Al's father earlier saying, why would they be targeting the colony? No one knows that the Federation has the secret Gundam mobile suit here, and they're not really supposed to. They're not supposed to have a weapon there. They brought it there on purpose to hide it from the Zeons, and the Zeons snuck in because there was a possibility of weapons being there. So you can kind of see here, even further, the Federation are not really fully the good guys here. But I do see that sending a nuke to a colony is probably the extreme on being bad. And I like how Bernie brings up, don't blame the Fedi soldiers. They're people like us just doing what they think is right.
Well, I guess that's it. Take care, Al. By the way, say hi to Chris.
Ooh, that stings. So that's quite an event for a kid his age to go through. And at this point, his mom's waking him up saying, hey, you're yelling in your sleep. And I'm sure he is suffering from some sort of PTSD from all of that. Not only was he caught up in some explosions that probably injured him, but he watched his best friend die and nearly his neighbor. Just pointing out the great animation here. I mean, the composition of the scene is excellent. Really good job with, during that time period, showing off reflections, the light reflecting on the surfaces. And you can just see that look in Al's eyes. This is just well done. Just funny in contrast to what Al has just gone through. His parents are back together, and they're kind of going through a funny family moment where the dad couldn't find a towel after taking a shower, so he uses the mom's apron. The contrast here. And interesting for there to be a moment where the parents are bringing up that he is acting differently, but they are saying, it's possibly he's just maturing. So it's able to kind of dismiss what could really be going on, but still pretty sad. And as he's leaving for school, he sees Chris leaving because she's not needed there anymore, so she's heading back to Earth. And she says, I wanted to say goodbye to Bernie, but I won't have a chance. She asks Al, say goodbye, or better yet, just tell him hi for me. And what could be going through Al's head, Chris gives Al a little kiss on his cheek, but I also wanted to bring up the music here. It looks like there's some slight strings, I think like violins, that are kind of playing a saddened version of the main theme song, and that's really well done. I mean, this is really the moment I would say where the faucets would start running. I know that has teared me up. And what's interesting, though, is when you watch it again, I think there are some other scenes earlier on, because I know what's going to happen. Like the tape, like, Al seeing Chris get out of the cockpit. There's other points where you want to get emotional. We're seeing the kids back at school. The school is partly destroyed. I guess they're having class partly outside. And really, they're talking about what happened, the fight, and all the kids are kind of acting normal about it, but you see Al start crying. And even the girl that befriends Al, that, at the beginning of the series seemed like she was an antagonist in a way, but really she cared about Al, calls for a teacher to come help. As the camera's zooming out, his friend saying, Al, don't cry. There'll be another war soon, and we'll come check out all the stuff when it happens. And it's like Al is crying for a different reason, and he doesn't know and he can't communicate that easily. And here we are at the end. A cool look at the colony as everything concludes. All right, so that is it. That was the final episode of 0080 War in the Pocket. And what are your thoughts? Yeah, it's definitely a good one. I mean, this doesn't even have to be Gundam, and this story is super impactful because we're kind of getting these grounded elements, especially from Al being a kid, just kind of how he would act. And then the contrast of emotions between the realities of war, but then, even the situation with his parents and, that relationship between Chris and Bernie that didn't happen. But also in just terms of world building, we could see what was going on within the Federation, within Zeon near the end of the war. When they weren't supposed to be developing these other weapons or using nukes, but they were still kind of trying to figure things out, a lot of spy stuff going on. Curious what Al is going to do with Bernie's tape. There could be a sequel where Al is older. He tries to get involved in a way that maybe contrasts with Hathaway, because Hathaway, in a way, based on him getting involved, not really thinking seriously, but caring for a girl, got him all mixed up. And then now he's taking actions, as we're seeing him also Gundam Hathaway, as kind of a terrorist. The thing with Al is he just liked the battles and wanted to be friends with Bernie, who he would be playing with. So how would that affect him in the future? Would he totally disassociate himself from war, from fighting, from battles? It would be kind of interesting to see kind of Al's future in general. But anyway, I hope you liked this kind of review of the series. I mean, this is definitely something I plan to revisit every year. In fact, since getting into Gundam, I've probably watched this at least twice a year because it's really short. The episodes aren't too long. There's no filler. It gets to the point. I think it's totally worth it. So anyway, yeah, let me know what you think. Do you have any Gunpla or action figures from 0080? What are your favorite mobile suits that showed up in the series? And hey, anything else, please like, subscribe, and we'll talk again later.